Sorry. Fire!
Incoming missile!
Stay back! Sorry. Stay back! Fire! 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 I can do this. 私は好きなんです。そこに登ったハウスのマスターに。Rise and shine!
Out of my way!
Wake up! Oh, did you see that? Rise and shine! Oh, did you see that? Oh, did you see that? Oh, did you see that?
You're gonna lose it all!
This is fun!
Incoming missile!
Oh, did you see that? Nice! Rise and shine! I won! なんだ愛してくれてありがとう。
Don't tell me you're giving up already.
「
Is it? The new. The new. Is it? The new.
My pride and joy. I'm so happy.
I was kind of hoping for a tear there.